What's up kitchen table wizards, what's up deck brewers from all over the world. Yes, we are back and today we are going to build a tribal deck.
Ah, we're finally going to build a cat deck. Wait, here is Storm.
No, Camille, we're not going to build a cat deck. We're actually going to build a deck featuring the most terrifying creatures that will haunt every intern's nightmare, the spiders.
Ah, okay. Let me focus. Ishkanah, Arasta.
Okay, apparently my intern does know anything about magic. So before we head into the deck tag, I do want to thank our partner Card Market. They are definitely the best place to find 8-legged monsters on cardboard, so do check it out. And I of course also want to thank all you casual MTG wizards out there for watching my videos, commenting on my content. It's been a crazy first year, but the channel is growing. So for me, this is definitely the best way to deal with my deck building virus. Thanks a lot. So the deck I will be talking about today will be around $50, but at the end of the video, I will do a budget version of it. And then it will only be costing you about $10. So definitely stay till the end of the video if you want to try first a budget version of this deck. Now let's head into the land of the 8-legged monsters, explore the wisdom of Aragog, deal with the brutal and mischievous tricks of the Shelob, and prepare for the wrath of Ishkanah and Arasta.
And embrace the fluffiness of Lucas the Spider.
As always, we start with the land base and we start also with the flavor of the deck. For the forest, I found this beautiful art of Jonas de Roo from Shadows over Innistrad, and Svetlin Vilinov brought us these beautiful, terrifying swamps where I already see a lot of spiders crawling around in. So I play 10 forests and 5 swamps. Because I play more green and not that much basic swamps, I also decided to throw in a bunch of dual lands. I play 1 Temple of Malady, 2 Jungle Hollow and 3 Woodland Cemetery. Then I also play 1 Evolving Wilds, 1 Grim Backwoods and 1 Haunted Fangraph. And if you look at the art of all those 3 lands, I think they just need to be in the deck. Of course, they each also have their purpose. Evolving Wilds helps us find lands. Grim Backwoods let us sacrifice creatures to draw cards. And Haunted Fangraph can get us a random creature back from our graveyard to our hand. So now let's head into the creatures. We play 2 Rihannas that turn into an Enchantment Spider.
Oh, Bram, I have a good one. Itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout, but he had no umbrella. Ella, ella, eh.
Brilliant, Camille, brilliant. I'm definitely sure we're going to win the prize of best content magic channel with this nice intermezzo. Thanks a lot. So the next creature is also a 1-drop. It's called Chainweb Spider, and look at its face. It reminds me a little bit at how I look when Camille gives me a nice suggestion of what to do in the video. We play a very defensive game in the early turns in this deck, and that's why I also included a few Deadly Recluses. This card blocks and destroys about 90% of our opponent's creatures, and for 2 mana we can't really complain about its mana cost either. Now the next one deserves a special slide for it. It's called Nyx Weaver and I play the full 4 of this spider. It's a really important inclusion in the deck. It's a 2/3 for 3 mana, it has reach, but most importantly at the beginning of your opponent's upkeep you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. And if you really want, you can also exile the Nyx Weaver to return target card from your graveyard to your hand. It's kind of like a regrowth, and you know how much I like regrowths. The next card is called Twin Silk Spider. It's a very good defensive value creature that brings along his twin sister. So we also have another card that comes in multiples. It's called the Penumbra Spider. When it dies, it creates a black spider token.
Ah, like a black widow spider.
No, Camille, like a black spider token. Another 4-drop is the Graverobber Spider. I decided to only play 1 of this creature. It has reach, and for 4 mana it can get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in my graveyard. And I can activate it only once each turn, but that is enough because you will have a lot of creatures in your graveyard. And while testing this deck, I already made it into an 8/10 easily. Then I also include one ultimate bad hair day spider of the Kingdom of Spiders. It's Arasta of the Endless Web. It's a new one from Theros Beyond Death. It costs 4 mana. It will give you a 3/5 with reach. And if your opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, you will create a 1/2 green spider token with reach. So a very good card against the control player. And talking about good cards, the next one is super important in the deck to finish out the game. It's called Rotwidow Pack. For 4 mana you get a 2/4 with reach, so the typical giant spider stats, but this creature has also for 5 mana you can exile a creature from your graveyard, and you can create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach, and then each opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. And this is the sort of strategy we want to play. We want to build up a board state with a bunch of spiders and then use the Rotwidow Pack to kill our opponent with this ability. Of course, the Rotwidow Pack is not the only efficient creature that could do such evil things. We also include one Ishkanah Grafwidow. For 5 mana you get a 3/5 spider with reach. Ishkanah also has Delirium. When Ishkanah enters the battlefield, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put 3 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach into the battlefield. And for 7 mana, target creature loses 1 life for each spider you control. So it's also a finisher like the Rotwidow Pack. Some more defensive spiders with big booties are the Silklash Spider. It's a 2/7 for 5 mana. Of course it has reach because it's a spider, and you can also use it to kill a lot of flying creatures with its ability. The biggest spider in the deck costs 7 mana. Of course, it has reach, it's a 5/7, and it has undergrowth. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature cards into the graveyard. You may put a green permanent card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. So this is actually a big spider that brings along another spider, because most of the time when you have 7 mana to cast it, you'll have a lot of spiders in your graveyard. And then the last one is the Arachnus Spinner. Also a 5/7, this time for 6 mana. Also it has reach, and you can tap an untapped spider you control. to search your graveyard and or library for a card named Arachnus Web. And this is an enchantment that you can immediately put onto the battlefield attached to target creature, and then it can't attack or block anymore, and its activated abilities can't be activated. And the cool thing is that you can also play this as an instant. Now at the beginning of the end step, if enchantment creature's power is 4 or greater, you have to destroy the Arachnus Web. But the cool thing is, if you have untapped spiders, you can play it again on your next turn. Now, of course, this was a smooth transition into the enchantments, and I have one more for you. It's called Crop Sigil. It only costs 1 mana, and every turn you may put the top card of your library into your graveyard. And because we want a lot of creatures in our graveyard, this is definitely an important ability to have. Of course, when you have Delirium, you also can sacrifice the Crop Sigil to return 1 target creature card and up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand. I do play 1 artifact also to activate the Delirium a little bit faster. It's called the Traveler's Amulet, and this deck is quite mana intensive, so this is also a good artifact to search for an extra land. Apart from the Traveler's Amulet, I can also look with extra lands with this sorcery that costs 1 mana, and it's called Traverse the Ulvenwald. Now also here it plays with Delirium, and if Delirium is active you can also search a creature or land with it. So most of the time you will look for a Rotwidow Pack or Ishkanah the Grafwidow. But sometimes you even are looking for a Deadly Recluse to deal with the problematic creature of your opponent. Apart from Traverse the Ulvenwald, we also have another amazing sorcery in the deck. It's called Spider Spawning. It costs 5 mana. And you can flash it back for 7 mana, and when you play this card, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach for each creature card into your graveyard. So imagine you have 4 spiders into your graveyard, you play a Spider Spawning, and then the next turn for 7 mana you play it again. This will create 8 spiders if you play it this way. So a really cool card, especially in combination with Ishkanah or the Rotwidow Pack. The last sorcery I put in my deck is called Scout the Borders, and this is also to help you search for lands or creatures and fill up your graveyard. Then let's look at some removal. I play 1 Status Statue to give a creature Death Touch or to destroy target artifact, creature or enchantment. I also play 1 Putrefy, destroying target artifact or creature, and I also play 1 Deathsprout. This instant destroys a creature, and you can also get a basic land and put that into the battlefield tapped when you play it. Now the last card is probably the most expensive one of the deck. I do play 2 Arachnogenesis. It's a super defensive card, a real blowout if your opponent doesn't know you play this card. And if he does, he will be so cautious playing around this one that you'll have enough time to set up the spider's web and put up your defenses before he can kill you. Wow. So an amazing card. It's a fog that creates a bunch of spiders, and those spiders will do damage, so it's really worth the investment. So this was the deck. It's certainly a deck that maybe doesn't look that spectacular on camera in the deck, but when you play it, it really synergizes well, it really works, so I really enjoy the deck. And now let's head into the power rankings. Because spiders are not the most powerful creatures, I only gave the deck a 6 for power. It gets a 7 for complexity and an 8 for consistency. Offensive wise, it's not that strong. I gave it a 5. But on defense, it works really well. All the spiders have reach and some of them have death touch. So an 8 for defense is definitely merited. I really enjoy playing the deck, so I gave it fun factor 8, and you'll definitely get some bang for your buck as most of the cards are really cheap, so for this part I give it a 9. Now let's head into the metagame review. This deck plays pretty well against creature decks, so I gave it a 7 against aggro and mid-range strategies. It doesn't deal that well with control and combo strategies, so the numbers are a bit lower here. As promised, I will now give you a budget version of the deck so you can build the whole deck for around €10 or $12. We are going to remove the most expensive lands like the Temple of Malady and the Woodland Cemetery, and we are going to remove the 3 most expensive cards in the deck called Traverse the Ulvenwald and the 2 Arachnogenesis. So when these 7 cards are removed, we are putting in 2 additional Jungle Hollows and 2 Foul Orchards. And for the Traverse the Ulvenwald and the Arachnogenesis, I included 1 Vessel of Nascency and a really nice Spider Team removal card called Severed Strands. To finish this deck tag, I do want to head into the maybe board and give you some other alternative spiders for those deck builders who are looking for inspiration for their spider deck. Jungle Weaver is a big spider, but the cool thing is that it has cycling, so if you draw it early you can just cycle it away and then you have a creature in your graveyard. And another spider that is doing well with creatures in the graveyard is the Web Weaver Changeling. Then for a little bit less mana you can play a Snare Spinner or an Obelisk Spider. And if you like big spiders, then definitely check out the Sentinel Spider, Arch Weaver or Sky Snare Spider. And if you want to make a fluffy spider deck that features Lucas the Spider, you can include the Woolly Spider. And the last card I do want to talk about in the maybe board is Tantis the War Weaver. It's a spider which also has red in its mana cost, so I didn't include it in this deck. But if you like to build a commander deck with an additional color, you can definitely check out Tantis the War Weaver. So this was it. I hope you really enjoyed this deck tag, and as always don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below and keep it casual. Well done, Mr. DiCaprio Cat. Well done, Stormpy. Well done, we can use this for the edit. DiCaprio Cat. Derp.